and you're listening to Candidate Conversations on the WIDU Radio Network. I'm your host, Jay Reinstein. And with me today, I have Tyran Jamail George running for Judge, District 14, C3. Welcome to Candidate Conversations.
Well, thank you very much, Jay. Thank you for having me. First and foremost, I want to say got to give all glory to God for just allowing me this instance to be here with you and talk with you and about this candidacy.
Great. Well, thank you so much. So let's tell our listeners a little bit about you. I want to talk about background. What's your professional and personal background, and how does it best prepare you to serve as really a county judge? Talk about that a little bit.
Yes, sir. Well, about me, not from Fayetteville. Been here for 20 years. Grew up in Chadbourn, North Carolina. If you've ever been to the Strawberry Festival or been to the backwards way to Myrtle Beach, you've been through Chadbourn. Grew up in Chadbourn. Father was in the military. Stayed a little bit of time out in Kansas and Fort Riley and Fort Hood in Texas. He got medically discharged. They moved back to Fayetteville, or moved back to Chadbourn. And at that point, grew up there. Mother and father divorced. Pretty much raised by my mother, single mother. Ended up going to college at ECU. Go Pirates.
Go Pirates. My daughter went to ECU. Go Pirates.
Yes, sir. And after I got out of ECU, I ended up going to law school up in the Appalachian School of Law in Grundy, Virginia, which is a small law school in the mountains that was very conducive to studying.
Yeah.
Moved back to Fayetteville, took a job here. Well, moved to Raleigh. Then ended up taking a job here in Fayetteville thanks to Mr. Ronald McSwain, who was the public defender of the Cumberland County Public Defender's Office at the time, and been here ever since. So just seeing where I've been, raised by a single mother, we didn't have the most growing up. We had enough, we had enough growing up, and so that taught me to take advantage of every opportunity presented to me. In addition to my faith, I'm a member of Covenant Love Baptist Church, or Covenant Love Church here in Fayetteville, and that in itself has opened my eyes to a whole new experience. Like I said, and let the Lord lead my life, and so that's what I think I've been prepared to lead.
Great. How long have you been an attorney? And is there anything in particular that inspired you to want to run for this office? Is there something that just jumps out at you and says, this is why I wanted to be run for county judge?
Yes, sir. Well, I've been an attorney for 20 years. Actually, this is the 21st year. I got licensed in 2005. I've been primarily a criminal defense attorney in these last 20 years. I've tried cases ranging from murder to rape to robbery, drugs, a number of cases. And in addition to working those cases, I've also been in other courtrooms inside the courthouse. I've done juvenile cases. I've done some family law cases. Most importantly, mainly child support cases.
Yeah.
I've done personal injury cases. I've done just Superior Court criminal cases. I'm licensed federally. And so I have a soft spot for young people. As an attorney, I can only help one person at a time, the persons who I'm appointed to when I was on the appointed list and the persons who hire me. I can only help those persons, one at a time. But as a judge, you can effectuate system change, of a change in the whole family unit, perhaps a county, by, hoping let others see that there's more to life than, what you're getting to out in the streets, or,
Right.
or your background doesn't necessarily dictate who you are supposed to be growing up.
Yeah, thank you. Again, we're talking to Tyran Jamail George, running for District 14 C3 judge. You're an attorney practicing. You look very young, practicing for over 20 years. Talk about your judicial philosophy. How would you describe your judicial philosophy, and how does it guide how will it guide your decision making on the bench?
Okay, of course, to me, the rule of law is the ultimate goal of every judge is to follow the rule of law. But I would consider myself more or less in the legal realism type realm, to where I will look at a person's social background, social factors, looking at their economic factors, and of course, possibly some of my preferences or things I've seen out of using my common sense in order to come to a just and equitable decision in every case. So that's essentially what I would do.
Great, thank you. And one thing that is so critical if you are serving as a judge is judges must remain impartial. And even in those high-profile or very emotional cases, how would you ensure fairness for every person who appears in your courtroom?
Well, I sit here and I pride myself on, I look at the judges here in Cumberland County and I see them as ultimate examples. Our judges that we have currently in Cumberland County have been to a point to where they are impartial and they are unbiased. I would take that, and apply it to my own standards, and then to ensure that, if you come in front of me, I will give every party an opportunity to speak, an opportunity to be heard, without being judgmental, and of course make a ruling accordingly as to how they present the facts of the case.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. One thing that we often hear about in court systems all across the country is needing to be more efficient. You have heavy caseloads, and I know Cumberland County courts handle very heavy caseloads. Are there any steps that you would take if you are elected to this seat to improve efficiency while ensure that everyone receives due process?
Oh, yes. I will make sure that, court starts promptly at 9 o'clock. I'll make sure I'm on the bench every day at 9 o'clock working through every court case that comes before me, ensuring, of course, that the court staff get proper breaks to allow them to work more efficiently. But, my goal is to be a judge who, come get to work early, leave late, make sure every case has been heard, and make sure every voice has also been heard also.
Great. Again, talking to Tyran Jamail George, running for District 14, C3 judge. What do you see as the most important role a county judge would play in maintaining public trust and safety in our community?
Well, essentially, with a judge and ensuring make sure our community is safe, is make consistent rulings. If bond statutes say this, apply those consistently. If witnesses or victims need protection, make sure you put those safeguards or protections in place. In addition to, can you read the first part of that question?
Yeah, sure. What do you see as the most important role a county judge would play in maintaining public trust and safety in our community?
Yes, sir. And also just to make sure that, any type of ruling, it will be just, you could see it happening. It would be transparent. And so just making sure that, there's nothing done in secret in the back rooms, making sure every ruling is based in some type of law, based in some type of fact, and then, that be ruled on from the bench, not in some back hallway.
Yeah. One thing I always hear is the importance of judges elected, but they must remain independent. How do you stay accountable to the public while avoiding the political influence in your rulings? Because politics seems to play into everything that goes on in this country today, locally, statewide, and nationally. How do you keep it separate?
Well, I mean, God is the head of my life, and a lot of times, if I have any issues, I will leave those to God at this point. I'll make sure that, everything I do, like I say, is nothing done in the back rooms. Everything I do will be in public, will be transparent, so that everyone can see what we're doing. I make sure that, hey, George is not doing anything wrong. George is out by the book. And I pride myself, even as an attorney, I try to make sure that, as an attorney in my everyday job, I make sure that I go to the DAs earnestly. I go to the judge earnestly, say, This is kind of what I'm trying to do. This is what I'm trying to help my client out, and what can you do? So I don't try to tell them something that isn't false, because, like I said, it's just not worth it. My good name that I hopefully have earned for myself in this community just isn't worth it.
So the primary is coming up Tuesday, March 3rd. The question I would ask you is, why should people vote for Tyran Jamail George for District 14, Seat 3, County Judge? Why should they vote for you?
Well, I would say, the first thing, we're not going to have a judge because Judge Hasty, he's retiring, and I thank him for his 18 years of service. So, of course, that's one reason why you should vote for me. But the other reason, of course, is that, in my personal life, I had 6 kids. I have 6 daughters. They range in ages from 28 to 10. including my wife. So I have 7 different personalities that I'm in charge of juggling and arbitering and mediating. And in those disputes happen amongst between the family members. It's good to have somebody who is fair, who is impartial, who is not biased, who will listen to the facts, who will then decide on those facts and hopefully help everybody come to equitable resolution amongst us as a family. I will apply those same principles every day in court to make sure that everybody's voice is being heard, make sure they understand every ruling that I make, and just be consistent. And so definitely that's why people in Cumberland County should vote for me as the next district court judge.
Great. And how do people find out more about you? You have a website or anything?
Yes, sir. You can go to my website. It is Tyran J. George for Judge NC.com.
All right. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. Tyran Jamail George, District 14 C3 Judge. Thanks for joining us on Candidate Conversations.
Thank you, Jay, very much, and thank you for having me.
Great. And you've been listening to Candidate Conversations on the